Welcome to ZBTR TV.
The goal is to unearth and document the Zambian narrative in the best way possible.
Catch us live every Saturday on Facebook and YouTube.
We broadcast every Saturday at 10 a.m. EST, 7 a.m. PT.
With a growing audience across the globe, we connect Zambians and share resources abroad.
Be part of our journey. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
With a growing audience across the globe, we connect Zambians and share resources abroad.
The ZBTR TV show.
Did you know? Less than 10% of our viewers are subscribed. Don't miss out. Be part of the community. Mark your calendars. Every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Flow live.
Welcome to the show.
All right. ZBTR TV is live on this Saturday, May the 30th, 2026. It's the second but last day of the month. I am so glad to be back. I've been away for 3 weeks. Most of you know that I had to travel to Zambia to attend the funeral of my late father. And I do greatly want to appreciate everybody for your prayers, your support, the financial contributions, and everything. And a big shout out to Mohambi Musonda and Uncle D, that's what we call him, Uncle Derek, for keeping this going. When I was away for 3 weeks, that's not a small thing. These are big shoes to fill, and they did a good job. They even worked on the situation where people were able to watch the live broadcast of my father's funeral. I am grateful, Mohambi. I am grateful, Uncle D, for your support and standing in there. All right, so today we have a big one. All right, the nomination filing process is done, and the candidates, we know who the candidates are, from councillor, council chairperson, mayor, member of parliament to presidential candidates. The nomination is over. And one of the most interesting contests is for the position of the city of Lusaka mayor. And today, we are honored and privileged to have one of the candidates. This gentleman actually doesn't really need any introduction, if you want to put it that way, but we shall I am so excited. Mr. Chitambala Mwewa is contesting for Lusaka mayor. Brother Chitambala, I like your smile. I like that. That smile will just make somebody vote for you. That's my.
I'm so grateful, brother. First of all, again, without sounding redundant, thank you for the opportunity, the privilege to sit down with you and talk to you and sort of hash some things out concerning this mayoral race that we're in. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. And I also want you to know that I don't take it for granted. Thank you for taking the time. It's difficult to get candidates to do interviews. You know that. You're a blogger, and you've done this for many years. And I was saying to myself, is this really going to work? And when I was told that he has agreed, I said to myself, let's Abraham. All right, I have about 50 minutes to do this, everybody, because immediately after this show, he has another interview, okay? So I want us to begin, because people sent me a lot of things, and they said, we need transparency from Mr. Mwewa. And I said, I don't think he's one person who's going to shy away from transparency. What happened? Let me put this up there. The party issued 2 nomination certificates to 2 candidates. How did this happen? What happened? What happened? Please tell us.
Well, let me first of all explain that I decided to run for mayor because I felt that there was a big gap that existed between revenue collection and service generation. You know, the idea that we need the council, we need the local authority to generate money in order to provide the services. I felt that that was lacking. But the most important thing that sort of struck me was this reality that we were living in squalor, and we sort of accepted it. Oh,
yeah, you're
oh
on.
my goodness. Give me a second.
Okay, somebody.
Sorry.
You forgot to put it on Do Not Disturb.
There we go. Are we okay?
Yes, we're good. Yeah, continue.
Good.
Now you're throwing words out there. People said we needed to bring dictionaries to this.
Yeah. So I noticed also that we were living in squalor, and it seemed to me like no one was really talking about it. No one was talking about the idea that, you know, we need to be environmentally conscious. We need to be careful with how we dispose of our waste. And because of that reason and that reason alone, I decided to participate in politics. Now, generally, politics wasn't something that I had set out to do because I enjoy my freedom. I enjoy the idea of waking up and doing whatever I want to do, coming here to the office, interacting with people on the street whenever I desired.
Yeah.
But I did this need, this overarching need was just gnawing at me. So when I decided to run for mayor,
yes,
I didn't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. I decided to align myself with President Hakainde Hichilema only because I believe in his political ideology. I believe in what he's trying to promote. I understand it's partisan politics. I understand that, you know, there's some people that may disagree with me, and that's fine because that's what democracy is. But the new buzzword in Zambia now is the purpose vehicle that one decides to use. I decided to align myself with the UPND because my thinking is aligned with the president's thinking. I love the fact that the president, you know, he set out this agenda to better the country, and I want to be aligned with that. And so I decided to join the UPND race for mayor using the UPND. Now, when I got in there, I didn't realize just how much opposition would be in there because of, naturally, people are jostling for positions. So to answer your question, when I applied, I attended the interviews. And as you know, the process is that they see several different candidates.
Yes.
And the person that was sort of next in line, by virtue of the fact that she served as deputy mayor and she is part of the UPND, the natural transition would have been for the lady who was in that position as deputy mayor to sort of ascend to the mayorship. But whenever there's a challenge that is posed, then the dynamics change, which is what I did.
What was the challenge?
No, what I meant was when there's a challenge, when somebody stands up and says, the position you want, I also want that position.
Okay.
So in a sense, you're challenging her, which is what I was doing. I said, I know you feel that you're next in line, but I want to put my name on that list of potential candidates. So when I did that and I went through the process, and I must tell you, I was totally blindsided. I didn't know the interior interior processes of selecting a candidate. I sort of threw myself in the lion's den. and so when the time came to be informed about the adoption, I was receiving phone calls at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning telling me, oh, you need to go to such and such a house and pick up your adoption certificate. I would go there and I wouldn't find anybody there, or sometimes I would go to a place and I would find 300 people there waiting for their adoption certificate. So we went through this for a couple of days, and then finally I did get the call from someone who called me and said, look, your adoption certificate is ready, go and get it. I received that adoption certificate in the presence of the Secretary General and many other senior members of the party.
Yes.
And the moment I received it, I felt that I was the candidate. Well, a few hours later, my political opponent, Keti Nanyangwe, also announced that she had received the same adoption certificate. And when people ask me how that happened, the honest answer is I have no idea how that happened.
Okay.
I don't know how two people got two different adoption certificates. In my view, I received the original one or the authentic one because I received the certificate in the presence of our Secretary General of the party, in the presence also of other senior members of the party. So when it was announced, when Keti sort of went on her Facebook page and she announced that she had also received it, it did cause a bit of a, it was a bit of a rift.
Yeah,
but
of course.
We sort of worked through that, and and unfortunately, both of us wanted to show up at the Secretariat. Okay. And as you know, there were a bunch of guys there who took it upon themselves to make sure that I didn't enter the premises.
At some point, you announce your withdrawal from the race, in spite of getting the nomination, as you have comprehensively explained, citing insecurity and threats on your life. What was the source of this threat?
Yes, as you know, and these videos they're in the public domain. They're all over social media. What happened was when I received a phone call from someone that advised me that the guys that were stationed at the Civic Center, which is where we were supposed to go and file in our nominations.
Yes.
These young men they had it in their minds to bring harm to me and anybody that sort of showed up at the Civic Center. And, they were angry, they were drunk, they were furious, and they publicly said that if I showed up there, they would boot me up and they would do this, that, and the third, and all that stuff. So the phone call I received was, Mwewa, in the interest of peace and stability, I think, maybe sit this one out. And my initial response to this person that called me was, why would I do that? Why would I succumb to threats of violence? I mean, there's nothing democratic about that.
No.
There is nothing remotely related to democracy when you say to me, step aside so that nobody harms you. And the person said to me, yeah, that's all flowery and nice, but the truth is, these guys are not going to stand down. They're not going to, they won't stand down, and it's going to be a bit of a problem if you don't step down. And so when I received this phone call, my wife and my mother-in-law, they were sitting right next to me, and I had this person on loudspeaker.
On loudspeaker, yeah. Oh,
yeah, and so I turned to my wife and I said, "What do you think?" And I put the phone on mute, and my wife said, "Well, I don't want you to get hurt. We love this city, we love the president, we love his agenda, but we don't want to get hurt. Right. I don't want you to go file and then come back with one eye just for politics. I don't want you to go over there and lose a leg for politics." So she said, maybe let's sit it down. Let's do that. Yeah. So I agreed, and then I immediately posted in the interest of peace, I'll stand down. 24 hours after that, and I must tell you, when I did that, I felt a sense of, I was disappointed, but for me, I felt, well, okay, maybe this is not the time for me to be mayor, and if it isn't, it's okay. We can do what we do. I can come to work whenever I want, to do what I want. It's fine. 24 hours later, I receive another phone call and they say to me, look, this isn't right. Okay, you are a citizen, a resident, and a son of this city. Go to the police and ask them for police protection so that you can go and file. There's no reason whatsoever for you to sit on the sidelines and allow people to threaten you when you are a citizen and a resident of this town. So now the person called me. There was something in the way that he said it. And I said, you know what, honey, I'm going to retract. I'm going straight to the police. I'm a citizen of this city. Dadgummit. That's a Christian way of saying.
You sound like a person from Louisiana or Texas.
Well, I went to school in Louisiana.
I know.
We went to the police, and the police gave us heavy escort security.
Oh, wow.
We drove into the center, and unfortunately, my political opponent didn't want to leave the premises. And the police had to sort of compel her to do that. And the police made it very clear that in order for the center to have tranquility, she had to be extracted from the premises first.
Of course.
And then the supporters, the young men that were screaming and swearing and threatening and all that stuff, the young men that were outside threatening violence, as soon as they see her extracted or removed from the premises.
These young men, are they UPND members?
Yes, they claim to be, because they wore the regalia, and they were out there screaming and yelling.
The idea was to do a guarding combo on you. Was that the idea?
Well, I would imagine that they were going to stop me had I gone there on my own as a free standing citizen, as a free person of the city. Had I just walked in with my files under my armpit, from what I could see, their plan was to harm me or to stop me. But because I went there with the police, then the police said to me, look, in order for this to work, the only way it can work is, first of all, the lady has to be extracted from the premises. Thereafter, her supporters would be extracted as well. And that's exactly what happened. The moment she was extracted, the detractors, the young men, they dispersed. And then I filed.
Okay. We won't dwell on that. It explains it. When you say that, it explains itself. Being Lusaka mayor, this is the way I put it. Being Lusaka mayor is like being president of Botswana. Did you realize that?
I didn't know that. What do you mean?
What I mean is, this is what statistics are showing. The population of Lusaka is 2.4 million for the city proper. Okay.
Right.
And it's 3.6 million for the wider metropolitan. So, you want to be mayor of Lusaka? Your critics for a long time have sung about the fact that the real issues affecting service delivery in Lusaka go beyond the cleaning campaign. You are very strong on the cleaning campaign. So I'll just put it this way. What is your vision should you be elected mayor of Lusaka?
Well, I've repeatedly said that Lusaka's problems are multifaceted. It would be very naive of me to sit here and say that cleanliness or the lack thereof is the only problem. There are many problems. However, I believe that if we can start from there, because nobody has ever started from there, in my view. I mean, the last time we had a mayor that talked about keeping the city clean was, ironically, was my dad. People don't know that.
That's many moons away.
Yeah, back in the 70s. Dr. Chitambala Mwewa, who was my father, was the one that coined the phrase, keep Lusaka clean. In the 70s, there was a very deliberate effort by the local authority under the mayor's office to sort of inculcate this idea that people should be responsible with their environment.
Yes.
Over the years, we've lost that, only because the right people are not paying attention to the right issues, which is, in this case, cleanliness. So to answer your question, I'm aware, of course, Lusaka has many problems.
Yes.
But my view is if we can start from a cleanliness point of view, and stick with me when I say, if you think of cleanliness as number one, and there's a sequence of other problems, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My feeling is this: we can't deal with 5 if we haven't dealt with 1.
Okay.
So if we deal with the overarching problem of cleanliness or the lack thereof, we can then begin to deal with things like more police officers on the ground, with things like more functional street lights, with things like properly dealing with the drainage systems and recycling. There's so many. We could sit here for hours and talk about Lusaka's problems.
Yeah,
there are multiple problems.
And I mean, like I said to you behind the scenes before we went live, I mean, to be honest with you, with all due respect, I've got a lot of friends that work in the city council. When I was going through Lusaka, my sister, my niece was driving. We were driving around Lusaka. Like I said to you now, I'm going to say it to everybody watching. There's only one thing that stood out to me: non-functional city council. Simple. Yes. You cannot have a city, Mr. Mwewa, that doesn't have traffic lights that don't work at major intersections. Poorly maintained or non-existent roads. Me, I'm being taken to New Kasama. You know the perception we have about New Kasama, right? Affluent residents and all. $2-3 million homes on a non-existent road. I'm saying to myself, no. This doesn't add up. This doesn't add up. I know you've said the city has got multifaceted issues. Lack of. By the way, how many fire stations are in Lusaka?
Well, we've had 2 additional ones here in the recent past, but we need to optimize them.
Where are they located?
The one that
I know the major one opposite Evelyn On College. Where are they at?
Right, on Church Road.
Yeah,
and Mkushi Road, on the corner of Church and Mkushi Road. That's the one everybody knows. But there have been two extra ones, 2 or 3 extra ones in the recent past that have been constructed, but they haven't been optimized. And we can do that. And I think it's sad that we live in a city where everybody thinks we only have 1 fire station. It's ridiculous. And all of this falls under the local authority, and we can do better.
So what's the idea? You become Lusaka mayor. What are we going to do about the fire stations? What do we do?
We need to optimize them. That's my response to that, is that we need to optimize them and possibly build more. Because there's also this idea that there are lots of communities in Lusaka that have a very adverse sort of response to fire stations. People generally think that they don't respond on time. They don't respond quickly. There are cases where a fire station will go to a community and the house that was reported on fire is literally burnt to the ground. And in anger, resentment, and protest, the crowd literally attacks the fire station. I mean, the fire engine. They start to stone the fire engine. So the answer, in part, I think, is to optimize the fire brigade and to make them more efficient. Of course, it's not going to happen by the wave of a magic wand. It's going to take concerted, calculated effort, and I think that with synergy we can achieve that.
Does the city of Lusaka have an effective revenue collection? Not just from the markets or bus stations. I've already alluded to the massive construction of housing that has happened. To me, when I see that, I'm seeing revenue in millions. Is it working? Is it effective? Is it functional?
No, the revenue mechanism of Lusaka City Council. You got to remember also, let me say that for too long, the council has sort of peddled this idea that it's a struggling council, that it doesn't have enough money in its coffers. I mean, the council is the richest council in the country. Lusaka City Council is uber rich, it's uber wealthy. you know. But to answer your question,
whatever that means, uber wealthy.
Yeah, uber wealthy means very wealthy, like extremely wealthy.
Okay.
I mean, they own everything, you know, all the land rates, everything we pay to them. So of course they're wealthy. It's just that they misuse the money. They don't optimize the revenue. They don't, and that's not outing them. That's just a fact. And one of the reasons one of many reasons is that the revenue collection has not been digitized. There's this idea that you can put people on the street to collect whatever it is, whether it's parking fees or whatever. You send them with a book. It is a known fact that there are factions within the local authority in Lusaka City Council that issue duplicate receipts. You know, they've got one receipt for the council and one receipt that's bogus. And there are guys within the system that are milking the system for what it is. They don't want a digitized system. Only recently, the local government permanent secretary, Dr. Pullen, just announced that moving forward, no pun intended, the revenue collection at Lusaka City Council will be digitized. Now, of course, saying that and doing that are two different things.
Where is the problem?
Well, there's resistance within the system itself, within the local authority. There are forces within the local authority that push back against this idea of digitizing the revenue collection. I'll give you an example. There was a company that was contracted by Lusaka City Council to collect parking fees from Cairo Mall all the way up to Society House. They gave them that contract. Yes. And the agreement was this parking meter company would collect the money, and all the money would go into the council coffers except their fee, which was agreed upon. They signed a contract, MOU. We get so much as the provider or the vendor, and Lusaka City Council gets X amount. It was working perfectly. But there are a bunch of guys in Lusaka City Council that didn't like that because it meant that they didn't have access to the money. What these guys in the system want is to have access to cash. When you talk about digitization, then you're committing the unpardonable sin. So I was very pleased recently to hear Dr. Pullen announce that, the permanent secretary of local government and urban development announced that the revenue collection will be digitized. But again, I say, saying it and doing it are two different things. I believe it's possible not only to say it, but it's possible to do. And it's not based on one person. I keep telling people, this idea of running mayor, there is no silver bullet. There is no one fell swoop. It is a cohesive, synergetic effort that will bring about change within the local authority.
From the way you are speaking and the comments that I'm getting here from people watching, it's like there's one thing that keeps coming out that you are saying. There's this pushback. Now, here's the thing. There's the mayor, the councillors, city council management, city council workers, and all that goes with any institution, organization, structures. You are going to go in there. How do you intend to be part of this team and make it work?
Well, one of the great things is that we're sort of, in a sense, in many areas, we're starting with a brand new slate. We're in an election year. We have tripartite elections.
Yes.
Which simply means, the presidency is up for re-election, the council is up for re-election, the members of parliament, even the mayor.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of hope there because, the word of God says you can't put new wine in old wine skin. So I hope, I'm sort of banking on this idea that we have a fresh crop of councillors that are enthusiastic enough to sort of chart a different way, a different path for the betterment of the city. Now, again, I have to say, it's not a one-man show.
No,
it's not a one-man show by any stretch of the imagination, but it is attainable. It's possible to do. For too long, there's this idea that, and I keep talking about councillors.
Yes.
Councillors, unfortunately, in Zambia, councillors have been relegated. In the public's mind, a councillor is not important. The councillor is the key. The councillor is that little bolt that if you remove it from the mechanism of the machinery doesn't work. The councillors are the key. And for too long, councillors have sort of ridden this wave of the public being ignorant about how important they are. So consequently, what you have is a bunch of councillors that get elected, but when they're elected, they don't do their job. All they're concentrating on is enriching themselves, milking the system for all it's worth. And then when they come to the end of their tenure, most councillors are never re-elected. There's this culture of once you do your tenure, once you go through your 5 years, you seek somewhere else. You look for somewhere else. You don't go back to the same people. You don't go back to your constituents because they're going to say to you, what have you done in 5 years? Why are you back here asking us for our vote? What have you done? The reason that is because most councillors just go in to milk the system. We need to change that narrative. We need to have councillors that are dedicated, that love their wards, that want to see functionality in their wards. This is the reason President Hakainde Hichilema met with 1,800 councillors from across the country. This had never been done before. In the past, his predecessor usually met with councillors from his political party. But President Hakainde met with councillors from across the party lines. And one of the things that came out of that meeting was that the president asked a very simple question. What's your job as a councillor? You know, when something goes wrong in your ward, don't expect your people in your ward to look at the presidency and say, well, President, councillor, no, that's your job. That is the reason you're there as councillor. So we need to sort of mind shift this idea that councillors are insignificant. Councillors are not insignificant. They are a major piece of the jigsaw puzzle.
Key people. You see, because I was telling a friend, I said, what does a non-functional traffic lights or robots got to do with State House? What is a blocked drainage got to do with the president?
Yes.
What is...
That's all the job of the councillor.
You see, we need to push for that narrative. Let me show some comments here. Like I said, I've got very little time with Mr. Mwewa here because he has another interview immediately after this. Martin says, Lusaka has expanded faster than planning has kept up. You can say that again. With many informal settlements lacking proper services, how would you balance urban development with protecting vulnerable communities?
Well, as many of you know, 80%, sadly, 80% of Lusaka city is unplanned. 80% of this city is unplanned. So you have to start from there. In order to understand the magnitude of the problem is that you have to undo. In order to fully fix Lusaka, you have to start from there. You have to start thinking, well, you know, the vast majority of this city
all right.
is basically unplanned. And the reason... Are we back? Are we okay?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, go ahead.
We're good. Right. The reason the city is unplanned is that it didn't become unplanned overnight.
No.
Okay. We didn't just wake up and see a significant rise in unplanned settlements. It happened one piece of land at a time over years. But at some point, when the bow breaks, and we've reached that stage now, because literally Lusaka is surrounded by unplanned settlements. The city that is planned is literally choked. So in order to fix that, it's going to take quite some doing. It's going to take quite some doing. And for me to sit here and say to you that I have a magic wand that's going to fix that, nothing could be further from the truth. It's going to take a bit of hard work. One of the plans, there is a grand master plan, and you must know this, that over the last 7 or 8 years, it's called the Lusaka Grand Master Plan.
Okay.
And there are very key components within that plan. One of the plans is to sort of deal with the idea of the surrounding compounds being redeveloped, the roads being redesigned with additional bus lanes, dedicated bus lanes. The idea that we need to move away from tiny, small buses, okay, which our roads are choked with tiny, small buses, sort of phasing those out. And
the small, tiny, we just stop anyhow. They stop anyhow.
Yes. The Grand Master Plan exists. The only thing that doesn't exist is the implementation of that plan. That's what doesn't exist. The plan is there, the funding is there, but it's just the implementation that's not there.
So how can the plan be there? How can the plan be there and the funding is there? And is that where we see a situation where money is channeled in wrong places?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and say that, but it's possible. It's possible. But I think it's time to implement most of these plans so that we see a better city. Here's the thing, brother. It's not possible for us to continue the way we've been doing it. No, it's simply not. It's not functional to do it that way.
It's not.
We can do better, and it's possible to do better.
Yeah. Under former President George Bush Millennium something, I can't remember the full name. There was a project under the Millennium Project which made sure that the water pipes in Lusaka were done. The whole Lusaka is piped. People may not know that.
You're talking about the drainage systems?
Just water pipes and the drainage system. So why don't we have water in Lusaka if the pipes were done? Why is there no water? All we see is water tanks at every, I don't know how many millions of water whatever in Lusaka. What's the job of Lusaka Water and Sewerage? The pipes were done. The evidence is there. I have it. I was given. When I was in Lusaka, I was taught. And somebody told me, when you speak to Mr. Mwewa, make sure you ask this question about water.
Well, when it comes to issues of the drainage system, it's a well-known fact. Whenever you hear about drainage systems being blocked and water not being able to flow, can I tell you that I'll give you an example. In just right outside of Salama Park, there's a compound right next to Salama Park. When it rains heavily there, everyone, of course, I'm not suggesting that this is only done by the people in that compound. This is done by a lot of people. When it rains heavily there and the drainage systems are flowing with water, there's this idea that our people, they get their garbage, they throw it into the drainage system that is full of water, and the water's flowing. In their minds, the water is carrying away the
garbage, right?
Yes, it's carrying away. It's taking the garbage away from them. And as you know, there's a point where that garbage collects and it clogs and it blocks water flow or the flow of water. Again, it goes back to this idea that we need to teach our people the right way to dispose of garbage. That is the wrong way of disposing of garbage. So to answer your question about the pipes, I don't have the figures on me now, but I would imagine that what you're saying is correct. It's true, the pipes were done. But in terms of the lack of water, I would say that the water is there. It's just it's just not flowing. you know, because our people are clogging all the pipes. I mean, you heard about the UNZA fiasco, where the UNZA student, the entire UNZA piping plumbing system had to be overhauled because it was clogged with condoms and sanitary pads and all kinds of mess. Why? Because nobody talks about that. Nobody sensitizes our people, especially at the highest institution of learning. Nobody ever had the wit to stand up in a hall and say to the kids, the students, guys, don't throw your condoms down the toilet. Don't throw your sanitary pads through the drainage system. Don't do that. You know, dispose of them correctly. And a lot of this has to do with sensitization. Yeah. One of the things that I plan to do, if the people of Lusaka give me an opportunity to serve as mayor, is that, because as you know, in America, they have what's called the public service announcements. Yes. PBS. We've got the equivalent of that here, Zenis, although we call it Zenis. Zanis. We can use Zanis and the sort of the government media wing to sensitize our people on these things, and there's funding for that, and it's a public service. But because nobody utilizes it, listen, it's impossible to change a mindset if you're not sensitizing. If you're quiet about it, nobody's going to pay attention to it. So that's one of the things I plan to do. To launch a sustained sensitization campaign. Nothing to do with 2, 3, 4 months. That's not going to fix the problem. It has to be a 2 to 3, 4, 5-year plan. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Candy says from the UK, what portfolios at National Giver does he see at the first allies of Lusaka City Council in actualizing his vision? What needs would they be collaborating on? Tandich. No, I'm not. I didn't get that. Nah, I don't. Tandich Sungu Chatu Pitapa. I didn't understand that. Okay, I'm trying to see. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure she's going to rephrase it. Dr. Kaingu says one of the key factors contributing to cholera and other health issues in Lusaka is inadequate drainage systems, which you have just addressed. Do you have long-term plans or strategies in place to address and improve drainage infrastructure within the city? Well, you know, I say that it's not so much of a lack of drainage systems. It is the issue is non-functioning drainage systems. We have enough drainage. Of course, we can do more, but they're clogged. If you drive down Lumumba Road, all the drainage systems are clogged, full of plastic, full of debris, full of, you know, just filth. And nobody talks about it. So the plan, the response to that, it's not about cleaning the drainage systems. It's not about emptying them, because you can sweep and clean all you want. The Zambian psyche, the moment you sweep, the moment you clear the drainage, tomorrow morning they'll be full. So you're not solving the problem by simply cleaning or emptying the drainage systems. What you've done when you do it like that, you've simply put a Band-Aid on cancer. You haven't dealt with the problem. What is the problem? The problem is this mindset that we need to change, that a drainage system is a dustbin. A drainage system is, do you know that in Zambia, you can have a bin right next to a drainage system? The average Zambian will not use the bin. They will throw their waste in a drainage system first before they use the bin. We've been conditioned to think that way. Why? Because nobody talks about it. But if we begin to talk about it, we begin to push out these public service announcements, we begin to engage influences, and it becomes a part of the school curriculum. Go to primary schools, secondary schools, institutions of higher learning. You will see behavioral change within 3 years. 3 to 5 years, you'll see behavioral change. Don't you think there needs to be a partnership with some of the manufacturers of some of these things, like what do you call it?
not that let me mention the name in good faith, not that we are bashing them. Trade Kings, is that Trade Kings?
Absolutely.
They manufacture. Yeah.
I agree with you. Is that there needs to be some type of responsibility attached to the manufacturing of plastics, because the number one litter item in this city is those little blue plastic sachets or sachets. The number one litter item. And these producers of plastic and plastic containers are not taken to task enough in an effort to sort of mitigate and ameliorate and reduce the number of plastics on the street. What we have in this country is companies that produce plastic that don't take responsibility.
Yeah,
and they need
exactly right.
Yeah.
All right, my cousin has come through for me with that information we're talking about. Mr. Sichinga, Millennium Challenge Corp, 332 million compact designed to transform Zambia's water sector through infrastructure development. You see that? 332 million. Yeah, that was the thank you, Robert, and everybody watching.
Amazing. I bet you the average Zambian doesn't know that. I mean, doesn't know that number, that figure. We don't.
A lot of people don't know this. I wish I could tell you who told me this, but highly classified. I can't tell you who told me this.
I got you.
I got you. Also, here's one thing that we need to address. How much time do I have? About 8 minutes here. What is your markets or trading? And I know you do this every day of your life. Okay. The markets in Zambia, not just in Lusaka, our people, what do you call this? Micro, they are small scale markets. You can even tell, I'm trying to find the word for this. What is your plan for the markets? How do you intend to address the traffic crisis and chaos created by street vending? They block the streets. Markets are built for them to go in there and trade from there. It's a big problem. You do this every day of your life. Walk into the market, deal with the street vendors. Hello? Oh, he's frozen. All right, everybody. Come on, Wazik, tamuntu wenu. What's happening? Baby, got it. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate your participation and your comments. And I would have really loved to have like a 90 minutes conversation with him. And he has another interview coming up immediately after this. Come on, Zikta. I'm losing time here. I'm losing time. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Is he back? What I'm going to do next week is I am going to we're going to do a series. Please don't even go into. I'm not that person who does that propaganda type of thing. You know me by now. I'm going to do a series of the race for Lusaka mayor. I think there are 2-3 other candidates. I know about Gabriel Kibombwe. And interestingly, all these candidates, I know them personally. They are like friends of mine. So, okay, here he comes. Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, I was saying that as he's working on his internet or on his connection. I'm going to bring I think there are 3 or 4 mayor candidates. We need to hear different views, what they plan to do, blah, 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 and all those things. We have an independent, we have one for Tonse Alliance. I don't know the other, I don't know. Tell me, those of you who know how many candidates for mayor that we are having. I don't know. Cletus, do you know? Dr. Mwaka, do you know how many mayor candidates we're having? I'm not sure. I know about 3. Okay, there he comes. Thank you. What's happening?
I don't know.
Tell them you are on an interview, you can't talk. Okay?
Oh, no, I think it was just the connection.
All right. Did you hear the question?
No, please ask it again.
Okay, let me just read. Let me just say, what is your plan for the markets? Markets are a crucial component of Zambia's driving the Zambia's economy. It's not just Lusaka, Quito and Dollar, everywhere. What's your plan for the markets?
Well, you know, I'm a big believer in the markets. One of the biggest cons on the street that our people usually use is there is no space in the markets. That is the biggest lie ever concocted in the history of this country. Let me explain. If you don't spend time on the street, and I have had the privilege of doing that. I mean, in the beginning, years ago, many, many years ago, I used to believe this lie. But it was only when I spent a significant amount of time on the streets that I realized that this is a con game. This is the deal. Because our people see the loopholes in as far as the lack of regulation and enforcement, our people can see that Lusaka City Council police are weak in the area of enforcement and regulating activity on the street. Because our people see that, they see the loophole and they say, okay, I can own and operate space in the market, but at the same time, simultaneously, I can trade on the street. Reason? Because they know that the Lusaka City Council doesn't have the mechanism to enforce the law. So they take advantage of that loophole. I will tell you now that there's enough space in all of the markets, not just in the CBD, because there's this idea that no, the markets only exist in down. That's not true. There are markets in every community. You go to Chainda, there's a market there. You go to Kanyama, there's a market there. You go to Kamwala, there are markets everywhere.
Yes.
But our people have accepted this idea that no, all of us must troop to the CBD.
CBD, yeah.
Yes, all of us must troop there. Now, when they do that, and they underutilize the markets in their communities, what they do is that they get space in the market, but they also decide to trade on the market. I've always said, and I will never stop saying this, streets are designed for cars and pedestrians. Markets are designed for our people. Why? Because in the market, our people have shelter. They have access to clean water. They have access to toilets. And they pay a stipend. They pay a form of rent to the council. The council generates an income for service delivery.
That's right.
On the street,
there's those things.
Who are they paying money to on the street? It's certainly not Lusaka City Council. They're not getting that cash. They're not part of the action. They're not. It's just a bunch of unscrupulous chaps who call themselves party loyalists. These are the chaps who are taking advantage of the loopholes that exist. And then they peddle this lie that, no, you belong on the street. Our people belong in a safe environment. Where's the safe environment? It's certainly not on the street. It's in the market. Yes. In the market. Yes.
Okay. I have like 4 minutes here. Okay. I'll still squeeze in a few comments from the people watching. Okay. Mpande says, tell us what your first 100 days in office will look like as we wind up the conversation. What immediate changes are you planning that will have a positive impact on the Lusaka population?
Optimize garbage collection, sensitize our people on the importance of environmental and self-hygiene, make sure that there are bins everywhere, get rid of signs that are illegally erected on Zesco pole lines and street lights. First 100 days, that's going to be my first priority. Everything that follows after that, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay, Dr. Mwaka says, excellent program. Kanyama, which is the largest constituency in Lusaka, where I am an aspiring MP, has a serious problem of junkies and security. How do you plan to work with the area Lusaka MPs to combat this problem?
Well, you know, this is what I say about junkies, so-called junkies. That's a family, there's a family deficit there. These are kids that come from broken homes. We need to encourage people to be better fathers, better parents. You'd be surprised to know that most of these people that we label or we call as junkies are people that have homes, but because their homes are dysfunctional, they leave their homes and they would rather, and this should show you how dysfunctional their homes are. They would rather live on the street than live in a home where they are abused, not only physically, but emotionally. They would rather live on the street than live in a home where a father comes home drunk every night and beats them to a pulp. So the issue of street kids or junkies is not so much a one size fits all. It's addressing the issue of a lack of parenthood, a lack of fathers. And the way to do that is to encourage people to be better fathers and to encourage homes to be better homes. And that result, I think, will sort of be self-evident when people begin to realize that. Now, of course, I understand that's a moral issue. And somebody said you cannot regulate morality. To a degree, that's true. That's true. But the point is, in my view, is we need to foster this idea of parenthood and fatherhood.
Okay. We've run out of time. You have an interview coming up in a few minutes. People have watched you. We've only, what do they say? You people
scratch the surface.
Yeah, we just scratch the surface. You see, when you're talking to people, speak proper English. Somebody has watched you and they've listened to you. They would like to contribute to your campaign. What should they do?
Well, in a few minutes, I'm going to post. We have a GoFundMe. I'm going to post that on my timeline on my Facebook. They can go to my Facebook, which is Mwewa Television. If you can throw that up there, it'll be Mwewa Television. Yeah, that's on Facebook. I'll have the link in there, and please, whatever you can do to assist us in an effort to achieve our goal of attaining the mayorship of the city. And it's not about me, it's about service. And I know politicians say that, but really, truly, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's what it is. I really want to serve the city. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay, everybody, Mwewa Television. And Brother Chitambala, thank you. But before you go, I always like to ask, I like to get to the bottom of things and ask this question. How's my sister doing with all this? Your wife?
My wife?
Yes.
Oh, she's fine. I mean, it was a bit rocky there for a little bit when she felt that I'd be in danger. And that's one of the reasons I did pull out. My wife said to me, as I earlier said, she said, well, we love the city, but I don't want you to lose an eye for the city. You know, so she's fine now.
Okay, she's fine. That's good. That's good enough for me. If she's fine.
Thank you. And thank you for asking that.
Yeah, it's very important. I understand how the things us men do, how they affect our families.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Lusaka Mayor candidate, Mr. Chitambala Mwewa, was our guest today. If you would like to support him, go to that Facebook page, Mwewa Chitambala. Mwewa Television, that's the page. Thank you, my brother. I do appreciate
Thank you, brother. God bless you. Appreciate you.
Bless you too. Have a good one. Okay, everybody. I know there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. And like Valan says, I think everything that is being explained is absolutely accurate and true as it may be. Other experts, other administrations of the market have been able to articulate the same issues, some not as good as the guests, some might be a little bit better. The issue with our city council is the politics around it. The technical people, just like the rest of them, are government. We have technocrats who understand and know their jobs, but it's the politics around our administration. It's always the politics, Valan. It's always the politics. Okay, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, we are going to bring the other candidates as well, the mayor candidates. Here's my thing. As diaspora, we have a big responsibility to change the narrative and the way things are done. For me, let me tell you, this will probably shock you. For me, it doesn't matter who's president, whether it's HH, Mundubile, KBF, my brother, Membe. We need to get our councillors, our MPs, our mayors, our chairpersons to work. They need to explain. I'm telling you, me going around Lusaka looking, I was in Lusaka, Chingola, Mufrila, and Kitwe. The only thing that stood out to me is non-functional councils. Chap, you can vote whatever president you want. I don't care, but make the councils to work. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And once again, I want to say thank you to Uncle Derek and Mohambi for holding the fort when I traveled to Zambia to mourn my father. And thank you, everybody, for your prayers and for your support, okay? We'll see you next week. We'll have one of the mayor candidates come back here. If you know any of the people standing for MP, even your presidential candidate, if they can come here, we want to talk to them. We want to get engaged, all right? Have a good weekend, everybody. Sims, it's good to see you.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.